Tonight, President Trump targeting another former FBI director, accusing Christopher Wray of lying to the American public. The president posting online, the FBI secretly placed 274 agents into the crowd during the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, and alleging those agents probably acted as agitators and insurrectionists. President Trump saying the Justice Department will likely be targeting more people.
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt.
President Donald Trump is making clear that he intends to target more of his political enemies, including former FBI Director Christopher Wray, who served from 2017 to 2025. And remind me again who appointed him. But here is what the president stated when asked if the Department of Justice should investigate Wray. I would certainly imagine, I would think that they are doing that. Vice President J.D. Vance was asked if we should expect to see more indictments, and here was his answer.
Well, there's certainly going to be more indictments coming over the next 3.5 years of the Trump administration, but we're always going to let the law drive this stuff and the facts of the case and not political motivations, which frankly makes us so much different from the Biden administration, where they indicted not just the president of the United States, but so many people who were just engaged in the basic job of politics, who were engaged in policymaking, who disagreed with the Biden administration, and because that they faced prosecution from that same administration.
But the Trump administration's crackdown on their opposition is larger than just these individual indictments against public figures. Last week, frenemy of the show Ken Klippenstein reported the following. Trump's NSPM 7 labels common beliefs as terrorism indicators. NSPM 7 is what's known as a national security directive. A national security directive is a sweeping policy decree for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. National security directives are often secret, but in this case, the Trump administration chose to publish it. And the directive states the United States requires a national strategy to investigate and disrupt networks, entities, and organizations that foment political violence so that law enforcement can intervene in criminal conspiracies before they result in violent political acts. Now, NSPM 7 instructs the DOJ to assign this task to the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Forces, or JTTFs, of which there are about 200. And here is what NSPM 7 outlines as indicators of violence: anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, on race, on gender, hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. And here's what Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller has to say about NSPM 7. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism. Now, Cenk, because of you, because of this audience, I have an anti-American POS tattoo on my leg. Am I now going to be arrested?
Yeah, well, we're about to find out, and that's where they cross the Rubicon, right? And so, like, no joke, right? Because this is saying, it's the broadest thing I've ever heard. If you disagree with Republicans on family values, Republicans disagree with Republicans on family values. They're remember Schlippity Schlapp and how he pummeled the crotch of another dude? So is he gonna be arrested as a terrorist? What is this? This is insanity. Okay, so by the way, I will tell you what it is. This comes from the Heritage Foundation. It's called Project Esther. It's really interesting. So, because this is folks who are not Jewish at all, but what they're doing is they explain that. It's amazing, they made it public, right? Along with Project 2025, that they're gonna basically use Israel as a pretext to start calling Americans terrorists and then round up their political opponents. It's amazing, it's amazing. Now, Israel just launched its own version of Project Esther, thank God. Okay, we're gonna talk about that later in the show. But for this, and what's funny is that they're like, we're gonna say that people are anti-Semitic, and then that will transition to terrorist, etc., right? And we've seen that unfold already on college campuses. Well, they're anti-Semites, so we should arrest them. I mean, that sounds un-American, so they kind of support terrorism, just support terrorism, lock them up, deport them, etc. So, but it's almost scarier in that case that it has nothing to do with Israel, its origin. In fact, some of the things they wrote were kind of anti-Semitic. And it was kind of hilarious, the irony there, right? Some portions of the paper like refer to like Jews as this or that, and you're like, what is that, right? So it's like these evangelical fundamentalist Christians who are like, how do we round up people that don't agree with our way of interpreting our religion while pretending to be worried about terrorism or anti-Semitism? So and now it's begun. And so Jordan, to me, the biggest question is, how do people respond? So at some point, they're gonna go arrest someone for an absurd charge. And then they're gonna do it again, and then they're gonna do it 7 times, and then they're gonna do it to someone prominent, right? And when that happens, in the beginning, when the first person gets arrested, nobody's gonna say anything. I mean, we're all gonna go nuts, etc. But the independent podcasters are gonna be like, I don't know. The third one, Tim Dillon will be like, what's going on? Theo Vaughn, etc. I hope, right? And on the 7th one, maybe we get a couple of more podcasters. And when they arrest someone prominent, if they let them get away with it for terrorism is you don't support my view of morality, my view of religion, let alone all the other things that Jordan just read to you. Nah, then we lost the country, then it's over. Freedom of speech is over, the Constitution's over. I mean, and if you're a Trump voter, what are you doing, guys? This is America? No, this is tyrannical government treading on you. And by the way, you think they're gonna stop at us? You think they're not gonna come for you at some point when you object to something that the donor class doesn't want? I mean, the Heritage Foundation, yeah, they all talk of this gobbledygook about, Christian fundamentalism, etc. But at the end of the day, they're funded by giant corporations. So this is a way of tightening the vice and the grip of the powerful so no one's allowed to object.
Yeah, I mean, these tenets fly in the face of the First Amendment, just about every single component. You can't criticize the economic system in this country. You can't be anti-capitalist. What are we talking? I mean, part of that is just showing the role of the elites in this country in protecting capitalist interests, and that is in both parties. I'm sure most Democrats wouldn't want to criminalize or label as terrorists people who just are simply critical of an economic system, but they certainly want to protect it. Overthrow of the United States government. I mean, come on, the Trump administration doing this? You just pardoned the J6ers. What are you talking about? You don't care about this. They want to use this as a cudgel to crack down on the left. But then you get into other things like hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on family. What does that even mean? I mean, we can assume what they mean, which is a heteronormative couple with children and mostly white. I mean, you see the things that they're doing. I think it's important to look at what the long-term consequences of all of the things that they're doing. This is just one component. But I keep going back to the DOT under Sean Duffy wanting to prioritize funding in areas based on birth rates. Obviously, it's extremely creepy, but it's unnerving when you think about how all of these things have interplay and how they want to prioritize increasing birth rates. Why are they so worried about how many people are having kids? And then you couple that with their crackdown on people's right to choose for themselves, banning abortion, banning access to reproductive care in as many states as they possibly can. And when you stack all of these things together, you start to see a clearer picture of this white Christian capitalist nation that they want to build. That's not what it means to be America. You have a right to disagree. You have a right to be critical. You have a right to dissent. And I also feel like a lot of this is bluster, but I don't want to minimize it. We'll see as things go on, but part of me is like, I feel like I fall into a lot of those categories. What's that gonna look like? Well, I guess we'll see. And like the first Trump administration, I'll use legal avenues to fight back, just like I did when Trump banned me or blocked me on Twitter, and just like under the Biden administration when the military blocked me on different platforms. So if that happens, I'll just do what I've done before and take them to court.
Oh, there you go. I like that. So we fight back here. Now I want to go back to some of those categories because the more I think about it, the more unbelievable it is. So you're not allowed to say anything that's considered anti-Christian, otherwise you're a terrorist. So I thought I was going to get rounded up for having a Muslim background, but it sounds like we might round up the atheists first. Well, I mean, since you don't believe in our religion, I get you're anti-Christian. That's it, terrorist. Okay, and does that apply to all the religions, or are you still allowed to be anti-Muslim? Let's all laugh here because, of course you are, right? So then anti-capitalist, like I've said on this show, hundreds of times that I'm a capitalist, right? And it took some people's great annoyance. So does that mean I think we should ban discussions from anti-capitalists? Why? Why, do you not believe your opinions? I believe in what I'm saying. So if someone is a communist or a corporatist or whatever they are along the spectrum, let's get it on, brother. Let's have a debate, let's have a conversation, let's have a discussion. I'm an American. These colors don't run. I don't need to be like, ban the Maoist. The Maoist will definitely win. I can't argue with a Maoist. I mean, what a bunch of losers, pathetic, weak, okay? And finally, my favorite is anti-Americanism. Wait. But being American means you're allowed to criticize the government and then by extension the country. So are we not allowed to criticize the government anymore? Is it a terrorist thing to do to criticize the government? And if you're a Trump voter, remember Democrats do get back in charge at some point. So then will all of you become terrorists overnight when you criticize a Democratic government? What kind of ludicrous, un-American trash is this?